Good morning. Thank you for being here today. I have a very intriguing topic I want to speak about. Intriguing because this word I actually never knew existed before, and it literally jumped out of a Google search one day a couple weeks ago. The word is Sankalpa. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. So Sankalpa speaks to the commitment, the dedication, and the vow that comes together through the mind, the heart, and the will. And I thought, oh, how perfect. How perfect, because it's such a tool that we use on this path. And when we focus on the chakras, we focus on the 3 chakras, the power, the heart, and the third eye. And I thought this was such a beautiful way to kind of speak to that unification, that connection, where we can direct that towards something that we wish, that we want in this life. And that looks like a vow, essentially, and the agreements that we make. And of course, as we first start on this path, what's interesting is, at least for me, the motivation behind the practice and kind of bring together the mind, the heart, and the will was really just to be able to help me find a way out, right? A way out of this world and this suffering. And it's necessary maybe in the beginning when we start this practice, because there's just so much. And the way out gives us this space and place to be able to work on ourselves a little bit. Work on ourselves in the way that we start to strengthen and shore up aspects of ourselves that can help us come back into the world stronger. And we continue to kind of go back into the way out, if you will, to stabilize and strengthen that structure energetically and physically in our lives. But there's a catch. And I feel like maybe just recently I've come to recognize this catch, which is the way out is actually the way back in. It's not the way out is the escapism. It's not the, I'm going to go sit and meditate on a high mountaintop in the Himalayas to leave and never come back. The way out, when we sit in a day-to-day practice in our own homes, amidst working, amidst living, amidst training and exercising our bodies and relationships and families, is we leave for a brief moment, and when we leave our meditation cushion, it takes that strengthened, stabilized energies of our practice and we bring it back into this world. And it's almost kind of a jarring concept to look at. Jarring in the sense of, if you have felt for so long, like myself, that I wanted a way out and this was my way out, and all of a sudden someone tells you, well, the way out is actually the way back in, but deeper, you think, shit, do I really want to get out now? So this is an interesting play that happens. And the answer, if I was to sit with, myself, is yes, I still want to get out. And the getting out, recognizing, oh crap, maybe that means that's me also coming back in. What does that necessarily look like? Without feeling somehow overwhelmed by that. Because, the escapist, avoidant mindset is, if I get out, then I'm relieved of XYZ. maybe put a label on that and call that suffering and call that pain. And if we have practiced for a little bit on this path, we come to recognize that even though we may feel brighter, happier, maybe a little bit more peaceful when it's more turbulent for others in the world, that life doesn't necessarily get any easier. And the practice you have to continue to go back into to kind of draw upon that well. But then slowly over time, as you play with coming back into the world when you get off your meditation cushion and maybe feeling sometimes overwhelmed, sometimes also a little bit under turbulence yourself, that after you've processed that the energies of that turbulence, maybe it was a incredibly powerful solstice energies, that you feel internally strengthened and further motivated on an even deeper level of coming back into the world and sharing, maybe teaching, maybe it's just living and being your life so that others can, I wouldn't even know if they would see it. You know, some people don't always see it. It's almost like they just kind of feel it, and feeling maybe is not even the right word. I think of like the elements of the sun or a breeze. When you're really in a hot desert, sweltering heat, and you feel like the slightest cool breeze, it's soothing, you know, and it's refreshing. And that's what our going back into the world can maybe feel like for other people. And if it benefits them even further, where they, you know, are inspired to learn the practice and sit on a cushion themselves, even better. But we recognize from a deeper level of purpose that that body, the mind, the heart, and the will, that kind of is fused together in that unified Sankalpa, really speaks to this greater work of how I see it, like Dharma, you know, the sharing of and the spreading of the Dharma. But we don't necessarily get to that place of that deeper calling and motivation until after we've had the initial escapism experience first. Because for myself, you know, you escape enough times in that state of escaping. It's not as fulfilling, it's not as deep, it's not as vivid as you feel like it should have been. You know, like people who go on vacations and they like chalk it up with a whole bunch of expectations and they go on the vacation. It's like, come back home and they're like, oh, I kind of like being home. There's that kind of a sense, if you guys can grasp what I'm trying to. Yeah, it happened. It happened. I did that. Okay, what's next? Like there's it's still some unsatiable, insatiated sense within yourself. When we can even begin to recognize the preciousness of living a life in this time, and we dive into our work and our life with this practice that we've strengthened and stabilized, there's beauty that can come from that. There's miracles. And the beauty and the miracles and the joy and all those good things happen in such a vivid and vibrant way I want to tear up as I talk about that because it's so encompassing and deeply satisfying. And I think one of the beauties, unique or not unique, aspects of this lineage is we do sit and we cultivate and we look deeper into our hearts. And when we take the mind and the will, it's kind of like we're putting what our heart has discovered in our sitting practice out into the world. And for some, like myself, just to start somewhere and being able to kind of hone what I was experiencing in my meditation sitting practice was, martial arts and or physical practice that helped to start ground that into the body, into this dualistic world. And it becomes this amazing practice and this powerful tool if we can understand this Sankalpa that we have garnered within the deepest parts of our being, the mind, the heart, and the will. And I think, my goodness, you think of three aspects of something, and for me, the shape that takes place is like a triangle. In the martial arts world, the triangle is a pretty stable structure. When you take a stance in a martial arts dojo, specifically in Aikido, it's a Hamni stance. And the Hamni stance is essentially a front foot is placed forward, and then there's the back foot slightly behind. And then your center of gravity is roots into the earth, and it forms essentially the shape of a triangle. And that's your basis of where you start any technique, or essentially engage from that place, engage at an attack as well. So any questions on that? It's not an easy concept to swallow if we're really attached to and hung up on the escapism. That can be really, really jarring for someone to hear that. What? The way out is to come back in? Fuck that! No way! They might go instead use like drugs or something to like trip out. I chuckle and there's laughter in this path, absolutely, because I think it's like the greatest joke we could ever play on ourselves, but we don't know it.
It is.
And it's not funny to us if we're in it, right? But afterwards, hindsight 2020, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's ridiculous. If you have a good sense of balance, absolutely, it can be funny too. I mean, that's ideal. That's ideal.
Like, biggest disappointment.
Wow. Yeah.
Like this big
Yes.
Yes.
Right. And I'm very much coming to that sense of that, instead of those kind of childhood tendencies or childish tendencies that I had and maybe still also have of, oh, I don't want to wake up early in the morning. I want to sleep in, because in my mind, that's the storyline of what's enjoyable to me. And then when we go on American Buddhist Society retreat weekend, which is jam-packed with events from, oh gosh, maybe when it felt like it started at 6 o'clock in the morning. I know it didn't, but it felt like that. Maybe 9,
8.
8.
So,
Okay.
which meant we had to get up
Practice and stuff.
at 8.
Yeah.
Did a little early to go take a nap.
And sure, there was the breaks to kind of change and come back for dinner and stuff, but yeah, the evening time went just like as long. And that really helped kind of break up some of those childish thought processes or attachments around, oh, I really need to sleep in to kind of enjoy life. And though we really worked hard and we were up early, everything was so vivid and full and delightful and joyful because it was so steeped in our commitment and our dedication and the vow that we made. It was blissful in itself. Blissful waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and not sleeping very well the night before because you're in a different bed, and on and on and on.
Busy at night.
Yes, they're very busy at night. More committees forming, taking notes, da 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 da. Oh my gosh, people. So it's this beautiful, funny, hilarious dance of eternity and how she plays with us, especially with our ego and what it thinks it knows and the story that it projects into our life. So, if you guys feel ready, I would love to do a meditation. And this meditation is a little bit different, something that kind of came with this whole class topic today. And still focusing on our 3 chakras, navel, heart, third eye. But I'd like you to try visualization with it. Visualization that kind of came to me through this understanding of Sankalpa. And the visualization essentially is starting at your power chakra. You're imagining this is the ground and the mud of where your lotus flower is rooted in. Good, bad, indifferent, that makes the ground fertile and nutrient filled. And from that navel chakra and the visualization of all the mud and stuff, gathering of the nutrients, you bring it to the second song in your heart chakra. Maybe try imagining a lotus flower blossoming open and blooming open. And when the lotus flower is blooming open, feel that connection that it's drawing from its roots, from the mud, from the navel chakra, all the nutrients up into the heart center as it blossoms and blooms more and more open. And then from there, moving into the third eye, visualization is of the sun, as bright as the sun. And feel like that sun nourishes and also offers nutrients back to the lotus flower. And they essentially are in relation to each other. They feed each other. That photosynthesis happening. The sun provides the sunlight to the flower, and the flower blooms even more. So let's try that.